There's much to do about Darin Routier's involvement in this case. My consensus is that as soon as he walked down those stairs, he knew exactly what Darlie did. He knew what she did. And I spoke with Tina Church. You can look her up. She's a private investigator. She runs the Other Victims Advocate Society. It's called TOVA. And Darlie Key hired her to find innocence in the case. And she was not able to give her a report of innocence for Darlie in the case. But she said she wouldn't use the report anywhere, and she hasn't. But she gave that report to Patricia Springer, who's a friend of hers, who wrote her own Flesh and Blood. She told me that when she interviewed Darin, that Darin said, as soon as I came down those steps, I grabbed her and I shook her. Somebody intentionally came in here and did it, Darin. Who would do this? Who would do this? Darin, we got to find out who did this. Who would do this? Doris Trammell said, what? She goes, who would do this? He ran out in the garage. He dropped his knife. I already picked it up and I touched it. Maybe we could have got the prints, maybe. She's already setting the stage to get the finger pointed off of her during the 911 call. That's clear. Now, I've long said that we know Darin failed his lie detector test. And one of the questions that he failed on was, can you name the person who stabbed your sons? And he failed it. Because in the back of his head, he believes that Darlie did it. And he can name that person. He can name her. So he did a lot of different things, like if you can get the testimony at the custody hearing where he spoke with Jamie Johnson, he said Darlie wasn't helping him. But during testimony on the stand, he said that Darlie reached down with him to try and hold Devin's chest wound together with her hand. You can hear in the 911 call that she's screaming, Karen. And I guess she opened the front door according to what Bathsheba says. If she would have opened that front door, she would have had blood on her hands. It would have been Devin's blood, and there was none found on that front doorknob. Darin knows exactly who did it. And for years, he started out by covering up for her, and he can't take that back now because he can be held under the law of parties. Texas law of parties. So, I hope she does get a new trial. I really do. Because this new stuff, not new stuff, but the stuff after the trial that Darin has said and done will only compound the state's contention that Darlie did it. And he's trying to cover for her. So let's listen.
This guy took a polygraph.
Can you name the person who stabbed your son? No. I don't believe what you're telling me.
Whether Mitch passes or fails, I'm more interested in looking at his demeanor and how he reacts to the questions.
And the way he's leaning in, he's closing himself off. He's definitely hiding something.
I don't believe what you're telling me. Why? Because when I ask you about being involved in any plan to commit a crime at your house, or when I ask you if you know who stabbed, I get good, consistent, deceptive responses. all those relevant questions.
Now, being involved in any plan to commit a crime would be lying for Darlie, possibly running a sock down the alley, claiming that she was helping him when she wasn't, not mentioning Waddell bringing him in the house at gunpoint. Because you remember, he said, I went over to Karen's house. She's a nurse, so she could help me. The police were already there. Being scared or being nervous has nothing to do with the results of a polygraph test. Now, I'm a big fan of the Steve Wilkos show. You can see people taking polygraph exams there and failing or whatever. Or he say he told the truth, or she told the truth, or she didn't tell the truth. And if someone doesn't tell the truth, they have the expert polygraph examiner come up on the stage and explain, I give this person the test 3 times. Or they were tightening up their butt cheeks. It can tell deception as well. The polygraph can tell deception as well. And it tells you. It gives you a score on deception. Like if you tighten up your butt cheeks, because people believe you tighten up your butt cheeks or squeeze your hands on a question that you might fail on, people think that can get you a positive reading on a negative answer. So Darin's lying here, and he's lying for Darlie.
There's got nothing to do with it. I know you're scared. It's doing a justice for all that. What I'm looking at is good, consistent changes in your heart rate every time I ask you a relevant question. You know what? I don't think you did. But I think whoever was with you did.
Now, that polygraph exam was given to Darin by Brian Pardo, the millionaire, who's trying to find innocence for Darlie. It was given by a retired Dallas police polygraph examiner. And he said, I don't think you did. I think whoever was with you did.
You're involved in this crime. No, I'm not. Yeah, you are. I find it fascinating. You can sit here and grin about it.
Why would I let someone do a polygraph on me if I'm lying or involved in this case? I woke up I came down the stairs. He was frantic. I ran over to the boy first and picked me around immediately. And I flew into my own son's chest to try to save his life. I did everything that I could to save my life.
Notice he doesn't say that my wife Darlie was helping me. He tells him he blew into his son's chest. On the stand, he said that, Darlie was helping him hold that chest wound together, but Darlie doesn't speak about that. So being involved in the case would be lying to cover up who did the case. That makes you involved in the case.
There's no survival that I don't have survivor's guilt on the fact that my boy died and that I could protect him. And that bothers me every single day.
He failed it. I have a problem with him.
I don't know. I'm not a big fan of polygraphs. I use them here and there, but you can't rely solely on a polygraph because people that are innocent have failed polygraphs.
Being nervous, sure.
Because they're nervous, or because, say he had nothing to do with it, but he has an idea or he thinks he knows who did it. I believe him.
At this point, whether he did or he didn't, I think he's still a viable suspect.
No, I agree.
Or it could be some guy he hired for this insurance scam.
Shut up and sit down.
Now we know that the insurance scam was a lie. Because Darlie, on the wrong man, she says, well, I found out things about Darin that I didn't know back then. And she goes into explaining how he was involved in an insurance scam or an insurance hit, whatever you call it, she said. And she talked to somebody about stealing his Jaguar. Then the detective goes, Barry Fife? And she goes, yes, Barry Fife. And she said she didn't know about that back then. But how do you not know? If my car was stolen, how would my wife not know? Even if you have two cars, because now you got to drive hers. How would she not know? That's a damn lie. She is a liar. And Darin has long been covering for her. Long been covering for her. And he can't take it back now. Because if you lie on the stand in a murder trial, you can be held as law of parties. There's no statute of limitations, and he'd be right in there with her.